This episode is brought to you by Trailer Park Yard Games, where over 28 games are delivered directly to your party. We park the trailer, you party.
Nice.
Yeah, you know, every time I show up for these recordings, I wonder, is Jaisy and Sarah going to join me back here?
Because, another week and another plaid button-up shirt. Mm-hmm. I like it.
You know, I am kind of, I could go all natural, but that would be kind of weird, right? Yeah.
It's not that kind of podcast.
Probably look like Elon Musk. All right, so. No, he kind of looks like a, never mind.
Let's have a chat, talk this and that with PB and Jaisy.
Hey, it's the PB and Jaisy podcast. I'm Bill Stedham, and to my right,
Sarah Padgett.
I'm Jaisy George.
And welcome you. We're glad you guys are here. This is fantastic. You came back for another week to be with us.
I guess I like hanging out with you guys.
Yeah, you know, every time I show up for these recordings, I wonder, is Jaisy and Sarah going to join me back here?
Because another week and another plaid button-up shirt. Mm-hmm. I like it.
You know, I am kind of, I could go all natural, but that would be kind of weird, right? Yeah.
It's not that kind of podcast.
Probably look like Elon Musk. All right, so.
Not a good look.
No, he kind of looks like a, never mind, won't go there. He's.
Yeah. Just keep going.
Yeah, I'm
just
pulling my head out of this, but I got to tell you,
move along.
You know, giving back is our obligation, and we're taught to give back in the Bible. We need to give back. We're a highly, highly blessed society, and our guest today comes to us with a wide variety of experience. He's got a heart of gold, a passion for helping those who can't necessarily help themselves. Scott and I have the privilege of serving together on a board of directors, but instead of me introducing them, Scott, why don't you tell us who you are, what you do in the corporate world, and what you do in the giving back world?
Well, I feel like the giving back world is my full-time job, so I'll start with that. So I'm the board chair for Easterseals North Texas, about to be Easterseals Lone Star.
Well, you did make that announcement. Awesome.
There we go.
Yeah.
So it's going to happen.
I had it in my notes here. I was going to ask about that.
Well, I'll just tease that.
Okay.
So again, my name's Scott. Thanks for having me, Bill. This is super great pleasure to be here. As I said, I'm the board chair for Easterseals North Texas. Been involved with Easterseals for about 8 years, about 9 years actually, and then been on the board for 7 years, I believe, and this is my second term as board chair. So we can get into that. So again, Easterseals, we help children and young adults living with disabilities in North Texas. It's a wonderful organization and super blessed to be supported by Century 21 Judge Fight, everything that your organization does for us. My professional career, which kind of sometimes takes a backseat to Easterseals, is I'm the founder and CEO of Elevation Concepts. So we manufacture sit-to-stand desks and tables and ergonomic office furniture.
That's fantastic. You know, we're building a new office, and as we're looking at the furniture, we're looking at that concept and just trying to figure out how to make it work. Sarah's trying to get me to get a sit-to-stand desk that has a mandatory treadmill on it, so I have to run the entire time.
You don't have to run.
You don't have to run.
Just move your feet.
Move your feet, yeah.
That would just, I don't know.
It'll be good for you.
But Scott doesn't make one that has a treadmill.
Well,
so
it's an add-on. It really is. So basically what you do is you have your standing desk and we can source you the treadmill. No problem at all.
See, Bill?
We can get you anything.
You were telling me about those the other day where you have the desk now that you can actually ride on?
That's right.
Oh.
So we're cool. What makes us different is, first of all, is we're 100% made in USA. So we use a writable glass surface. So you can write on it with a wet or dry erase marker or a Sharpie. So it's great for a to-do list or following up on prospects. We also do glass boards. We can do company logos. It's really great for training, especially I've been doing EOS, and so I've we introduced a product. It's more of a collaborative workspace. So it's a 4-foot by 8-foot table, great for breakout meetings, and I've named it the traction table.
Oh wow! Well, I'll have to learn more about that as we go. But I want to get back to Easterseals. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I bet a lot of folks have no idea what Easterseals does. And you gave a little bit of a brief statement, but tell us just a little bit more about Easterseals and what's involved in that.
Absolutely. You know, the one thing about Easterseals is we're not the SPCA. People know exactly what the SPCA does. And in fact, no two Easterseals are alike. Specifically in North Texas, we are experts in autism treatment. So our number one goal is early identification and diagnosis of someone that's on the spectrum. From there, we can start treatment and therapy. One thing that I would say is a gold star program that we have in North Texas is our child development program. So our child development program, for lack of better words, is Primrose on steroids. So we use what is called the Walden model, to where you have children that have learning disabilities and they're paired with normal functioning students. And the school is run by therapists. So the ratio sometimes is 4 to 1. So for young adults that have, a new baby and mom or dad have got to go back to work, paternity leave, maternity leave ends, we can take clients as young as 1-2 years old, months, even less than that. And we have a nursery. We do this in our North Dallas facility. That goes all the way up to kindergarten. And so our number one goal is for a child that has learning disabilities, is to get them mainstream. So identify the fact that, and diagnose them as on the spectrum, get them into therapy and treatment. And then when they're ready to go into kindergarten, they're ready to go into regular kindergarten, and they don't have to go into a special needs program. So that's our number one objective. And then a lot of these children through treatment are with us through young adulthood. As I've been involved with Easterseals, I've started to see a lot of these younger kids transition into young adulthood. So some other things that we're working on now is Project Search and programs with the Texas Workforce Commission, to where when children matriculate and they graduate from high school, we can get them employment. Because again, our number one focus and goal is independent living. We want our clients to be able to live on their own and function as normal adults.
That I think is beautiful. There are so many people in our office that have children, or a couple of people in our office that have children with special needs. And that is always what I hear from them, of their fear of what's going to happen if I can't be there? What's going to happen when I'm not here anymore? How is my kid going to be able to take care of themselves, be able to function? And so it's amazing that you're not just kind of putting a Band-Aid on something and just having them sort of try to figure it out or something like that. You're giving them the tools so that they can be independent.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. So Jeff in our office, and he's been on our podcast before, he has a daughter with special needs, and something that he ran into the other day, and it was so hard on him, but to see his daughter be made fun of by just kids that didn't understand, and I think it's so important when you talk about getting kids to mainstream. It's important not for just those kids with the learning disability, but it's important for all of us to be aware that not everyone's the same, and to know that people learn different and look different and act and sound different. So I think that's awesome.
Well, it's interesting. I had a conversation with a lady the other day, and she's in my space. She's a renowned interior designer. She has a son who's 10 years old that has Down syndrome. Special child. What I didn't know before we spoke is she has two daughters, one of which just graduated from TCU, and the other one that's in Colorado working at a camp that specializes in children and young adults with autism. Both of her girls are on the spectrum. She has 3 children with special needs. She's now devoted and shifted her entire professional career to designing sensory spaces, and specifically in residential and commercial. And she was one of the first persons that had designed a bathroom for residential that had a grab bar.
Okay. Oh, wow.
And, a lot of people frowned in that community. And so she really stressed the inclusivity. And something that's interesting, and you look at where we are as a society about hiring, people in positions, not based on color, but just based on who they are, the best person for the job. And we've become an inclusive with, the LGBTQ plus community as well. And one thing that she brought up was the disability community still is several steps behind. And so, like you mentioned, the bullying and the teasing, you wouldn't accept that if it was
Anything else.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it still exists. I read something this morning about that, a situation that happened in New York. The school district didn't even tell the parents, and kids were picking on specifically children with special needs. And the police failed to press charges. The school district didn't do anything, and they just brushed it under the rug. So there's a lot of work that still needs to be done. And again, that starts with having this conversation.
It's
sure
educating,
does.
yeah. And I don't know if you saw, it may have been last school year when Midlothian started. It ended up going viral, but this mom was about to put her kid, a special needs child, looked and acted very different than their classmates. She was very concerned about putting them in public school, but she just put a post online and said, hey, if you've got kids in this school district, just please know that, I can't remember if daughter or son. Really just, he is nice and he's friendly and he's not scary. Don't be afraid. And I thought it was such a cool way to have that conversation for parents to just say, hey, not everyone's going to look like you, but it only takes one kid to stand up for somebody like that and everybody will follow suit. And that's what they're looking for. Kids are looking for, how am I supposed to respond to, to this person?
And that was a great situation because the whole city came out on that.
It,
The police department got behind it and everything else, and lots of things. Well, Scott, what we do in Easterseals, let's bring it back to that just for a second. As we're looking at Easterseals and all the great programs we have going on, there's some things going on I know with our organization, Easterseals of North Texas, blossoming. My words are not working today. Into Easterseals Lone Star.
Yep.
And what exactly does that mean? The announcement will be made, in about a week or so. We're going to have Boots and Barbecue. So, people are still going to be able to buy a ticket for that and participate in Boots and Barbecue in a couple of weeks. So what is Easterseals Lone Star? How does that look? What are we talking about there?
Well, first of all, we're blessed to have Todd Marvin, who's our president for Easterseals Texas. So when Easterseals Central Texas and North Texas both were combined with FedCap, who's really our parent organization, we were both on different trajectories, and through his leadership, and I really think through our board, and it's time, because, for example, there's different programs that we have in Central Texas that are really good that we need to bring to North Texas, and we are, and vice versa, a la the Child Development Program is now going into Central Texas. So Todd and I had several conversations, and then we spoke with our legal counsel, and we felt that it was the right time to merge both boards. If Todd's leading both organizations, and on top of that, it really creates a better synergy between the team in North Texas and Central Texas. And on top of that, we've got a great opportunity to combine the board to really.
You're not losing anything; you're gaining.
Well,
100%.
And we have some rock stars. I mean, I'm very blessed to have a great board in North Texas. There's a great board in Central Texas, and we're going to combine and have an all-star team. Another thing that's come out of that too is through the growth in North Texas, we're very close to announcing our re-entry into South Dallas. So you mentioned that was a great point about being able to serve the underprivileged in areas that, maybe they don't have programming and treatment. And the one thing that you can say about parents that have children with special needs is they will move heaven and earth to get their children or their child treatment.
Right.
And so to be accessible in South Dallas is going to be great, because that also helps areas like Mansfield, Midlothian, DeSoto, because again, we can pull in from Ellis County. But going back to the merger, this will also allow us to serve the greater area. So I use South Dallas as a reference. What we want to do with this new facility, and it's a house, is we're going to make this almost like a franchise, to where we could replicate this and take this to other cities. We could take it to Tyler Longview. We could take it to Lubbock, West Texas. What we won't have with the merger, we won't have Houston. There's an Easterseals Houston, which is very strong. There's Rio Grande Valley, and there's San Antonio. Now, San Antonio and Rio Grande are ECI, it's early childhood intervention, which is what we do. In most often cases, they give us those customers or those clients. It's going to allow us to really grow. And I think with one vision, one team, one mission, it's going to be really
That's
great
exciting.
for us. It is.
And I think the important part about it is very, very exciting. I get privileged to sit on the board of directors and work with Scott. But what's very exciting to me is that we can reach more people and we can serve more people. But I think what people don't realize is, Scott and the board and Todd and myself, we don't have a bank account we can go to and just pull money out of. Easterseals is a nonprofit. There's not a continuous amount of money coming into it.
Right.
So Scott, what are some of the things that we do to raise money so that we can help more people live those independent lives?
A great question. I mean, again, Century 21. I think that the greatest thing as a board member, we're always looking for companies that want to do good in the community. They want to adopt and have a charity of choice. I've been blessed to have a relationship with Jim Fight for years. He really ingrained that into me. So I think from the start is, we're always looking, and I think as a business owner, I take pride in the fact that Easterseals is our charity of choice. So we donate a percentage of our profits directly to Easterseals. So we're always looking for good partners. Number two, we have some great events that we have each year.
I know of one.
Yes.
I do too.
I
do too. And the word on the street is the goal is over $500,000 this year.
It's up there. It's up there. Yeah.
And so
No pressure.
y'all do an amazing job. And to be able to, for me as a board chair, to be able to say, hey, we embedded in the fabric and the DNA and the company culture of Century 21 Judge Fight. I mean, it gives me goosebumps just talking about it. And when I meet people that are just gone through the training program, they're already talking about it. And it's almost like when you go to a different office, the competition, it's palpable. And I love that. It gets me fired up. Again, we have a Tulipalooza, which is a new event that we do in Waxahachie each year, and Jacob and his team were great. They turned that into a team builder. So we started working with, I met a gentleman, and he started Post and Gardens and then Daymark Living. And Daymark are cottages in Waxahachie, and their whole goal, again, is independent living. And so they plant 250,000 tulips in Waxahachie by the Civic Center in the winter.
My husband took me there on a date night.
There you go.
Yeah, it was really cool.
And so John and I started talking about it. He's like, look, I want to have nonprofits be beneficiaries. Would Easterseals be interested in doing it? And he goes, you need to talk to your board. And I go, yeah, I just did work. And so, we don't raise a lot of money with this event yet. But it's the branding and it's the conversation.
Awareness, yeah.
And watching those little kids wear Easterseals capes running through the tulip fields. We were able to gain, I think, 2 or 3 clients out of that. And so you have board members that are there, and we have staff there, and just having that conversation in a nice casual environment. So it's not so much about raising money as it is about awareness. That's part of the mission.
Well, and I think that's important. It's in any kind of marketing, you can't go back and say, okay, I'm going to do this ad, but then I want to track my return to it. That's not how it works. Mm-mm. It's the impressions.
Agreed.
And what does that impression happen? So today somebody learns about Easterseals because they're at Tulipalooza, or they go to a Proco event, or Boots and Barbecue, or they're involved in something else, or they're aware of somebody that's getting a treatment through Easterseals. Fast forward 4, 5, 6, 7, 20, 30 years from now, and all of a sudden they're an executive. They have some assets, and they're trying to figure out what to do with it, and that impression may have built to where all of a sudden they can be involved in it. Scott, you weren't born into this. I wasn't born into this.
Right.
All of us got here because there was an impression that happened at some point in time in our lives.
You mentioned that you had joined or started getting involved about 9 years ago. How did that come about? How did you hear about Easterseals? Or
Great question. At the time, the VP of development had contacted me. I was in the advertising business, talking about impressions, and they were looking for in-kind digital billboard advertising. And okay, I was like, Easterseals, that's great. Tell me a little bit more. I'm in. And then once I started learning that they really were experts in the field of autism treatment and therapy, it just started to resonate. And just like what you said, and that was where it just started to kind of, that flame started. And so we did that. We did the in-kind advertising. I used it as a team building for my company at the time that I was working for. We all went out there with our family and our pets and whatever, did the walk, learned a little bit more, met the ambassadors, and then had a conversation, and then did it again, gave more in kind. But I started going to Boots as just a guest, and then they introduced me to I think it was Jim Fite was vice chair at the time, and he was like, hey, let's have a deeper conversation, and they invited me to join the board. All the while, my twin sister, who's here, she has a son that's on the spectrum. And I always knew that. Wow. But I started, it's weird how
pieces started connecting.
Absolutely. And then I started to get more involved. And then once I was invited to join the board, I was blown away. I was younger at the time, and it's my first board, and I was all in. And then once you meet somebody like a Jim Fite that's just 100% all in, you got to be a 200% all in.
Right.
As you know. Right. And so from there, it just took off. And then it was like, okay, how many more lives can we change? Mm-hmm. And so you mentioned that. And I think it's all about being able to tell your story. And when you can tell your story, and when you see parents with their children, and they're like, yeah, it's been going to Easterseals for 8 years, and it functions perfectly in school now, whatever. And you see that, and then it makes you just that much more hungry and thirsty just to keep doing more and more and more. I think that's the great part. You go back to South Dallas, and our partner was South Dallas. When we met with them, the guy just made a random cold call to one of the employees at the school at St. Philip's. And he was like, hey, tell us about your experience with Easterseals. This was completely on the fly, our first meeting with Dr. Flowers. And she's like, oh my God, I couldn't have done it without Easterseals. She goes, it changed my family's lives. And the child was in his early 30s. And so Todd and I were sitting at this meeting, and we're looking at each other going, oh boy, which way is this going to go?
Right.
And then after that, it was just smooth sailing. And that kind of sealed the deal. And so the great thing we can talk about.
Easter sealed the deal.
Yeah, it totally did. But all the credit goes to the staff and to the team. They don't do it for the money, they do it for the love. And I think that if we can continue to share that message, we can raise a lot of money. And that's the great thing going back to Boots. And I think that's why your event is so incredibly successful, is because it's everybody's behind the mission. They know more about it. It's not just making a donation because you're just checking off the box because you have to.
Yeah, and what I want to point out to everybody, and by the time that we air this podcast, you still have a chance to get tickets to Boots and Barbecue. And I don't want you to think you're coming to a Century 21 event. You're not. You're coming to an Easterseals event that Century 21 happens to host. And it's your chance.
What is Boots and Barbecue?
Boots and Barbecue is a chance for you to come and have an amazing evening of food, of entertainment. We'll have a live band. We'll have a casino. We'll have a chance for you to bid on a multitude of fabulous items. And this year we're probably going to have fewer silent auction items because we've raised the quality of the baskets. So we've set a minimum on the baskets that we want and the type of quality that we want in the baskets. So you'll have a chance to get all kinds of things. Tom, who's our, for lack of a better word, executive producer, is coming this year with his brother because he wants a new Traeger. So we need to get, because Tom has told me he'll do like $10,000 on a Traeger XL if we get one there.
You selling drugs?
So
we get this money.
The silent auction is my favorite.
For $10,000, I will get you a Traeger this afternoon.
No pressure.
Bank's still open.
Yeah. So hey, you'd like this. A couple weeks ago, we were interviewing the owner and executive chef and director at Trident Restaurant Group. Wishbone.
You okay?
I'm doing the same thing he was doing. Wishbone and Flint, Trey Mogul, Parker Ike's house. And we got talking about the fact of what we do for Boots and Barbecue. And I said, we could trade one of our dinners for one of yours. And we kind of talked about their 8-people dinner, and he said he's all in. So I'm going to follow up on that. So I think that we're going to be able to auction off a dinner also from the Trident Restaurant Group, and I've heard some amazing things.
So good.
Amazing things about that. So
So who's allowed to go to this event? Anybody?
Anybody.
And how do we go?
So the link is down below to purchase your ticket. We have regular tickets and VIP tickets.
You don't have to wear boots.
You do not have to wear boots. There will be people dressed eloquently, and there will be people dressed in boots. Yeah. But come and have a great time. It's a fabulous, fabulous opportunity.
You'll get to hang out with us.
Yeah.
We'll all be there.
All the PB and Jaisy cast will be there, as well as the board of directors for Easterseals. And we always get to bring in one of our clients, and they get to tell the story. So it's absolutely fantastic. And it's a chance to give back. And, every little bit that people give back helps us serve more people. Because without people giving back, we can't service anybody.
Right.
If nobody gave us anything, we would not be here. We wouldn't be able to service people.
Right.
And Scott, that brings up COVID. That was a tough time, but we got through that because people continued to give, and because Easterseals has been smart and fiscally responsible with what they've been given.
Agreed. I've always said this too. I don't have the number in front of me, but really, when you give to Easterseals, to tell you how much you're looking at for every dollar, about 89.90 cents goes to programming and treatment. So we run extremely lean.
I thought it went to your salary.
No, I'm the chief intern officer.
Yeah.
Need a raise.
I like that.
Well, Scott, we've got a little session that we call Tales from the Lockbox.
Oh, so this is me.
Oh, that's you.
I'm like, who's doing
my
that?
God.
Oh, yeah, it's me. So this one's a pretty funny one that I saw. So this guy, he's telling the story of when he was in high school. He was in his junior year of high school, and it's his first day of class. And the teacher walks in, and he just looks manic. Half of his mustache is shaved off. His hair is crazy. His shirt is half tucked in. Like, he just looks crazy. Like, the vibes are just really weird. So then he just says, okay, I'm going to go ahead and take attendance. And he looks up, and then he stops, and he says, and he looks directly at him. And he says, oh, Mr. Beals, I'm glad you're here. How's your family? Is your sister still taking piano lessons? Is your room still blue? Do you still have that model airplane on your dresser? And he's like, oh my gosh, this is so incredibly weird. Like, oh my gosh. He's shocked. He's mortified. But then when he goes home, his dad asks him, hey, how was your day? And he's like, I had this really weird teacher. And his dad just starts laughing like crazy. That was his dad's best friend.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
so they were just playing a prank on him. And so then the next day at school, the teacher actually looked normal, with like regular. And he just went all the way on a prank. And I thought that was pretty cool.
That's pretty invested in a prank.
Yes.
I like it though. I like the evil behind that.
Yeah.
So Scott, this is a session where you can, if you want, you can tell
If you've got
any
anything.
funny story, weird occurrence. You can tattle on your sister. She's outside and can't say anything.
Oh my gosh.
Or you can tattle on Todd.
Todd Marvin. Well, okay, I'll tattle on Todd Marvin.
Okay.
So everywhere we go with Todd, and we take a lot of, it doesn't matter if we're meeting with a city council person or a potential donor or anybody, everywhere we go, it's always his birthday. So no matter, and because he loves desserts. And so I got tired of having to pay for desserts. And so everywhere we go, I always tell the waiter when to make the reservation, what are you celebrating? Celebrating a birthday. So it's always Todd Marvin's birthday. And his birthday was this past Thursday. I think it was the 21st. And so I had recorded him. We all videoed him. And I got the entire restaurant singing happy birthday to Todd. And then everybody also knows Todd's one of my dearest friends. So I don't call him Todd. I call him Todd Marvin. So we had the whole restaurant going, Todd Marvin, Todd Marvin.
No way.
Yeah. So I sent that to him for his birthday. And of course, there you go.
Did he love it?
He's like, next time I come to town for our next board meeting, I'm going to wipe clean your phone. So, anyway, a lot of blackmail material there. So you definitely put me on the spot. So
No, that's a good
one. I love it.
Yeah.
Remind me not to go eat with you for my birthday.
Sarah, level us up here.
All right. So the quote I found today says, money's not the only commodity that is fun to give. We can give time. We can give our expertise. We can give our love or simply give a smile. what does that cost? The point is, none of us can ever run out of something worthwhile to give. And that's from Steve Goodyear. Oh, Goodyear. He's goodier than you.
Yeah, he is.
So just encourage you, it's not always about your pocketbook. If you have the money, of course, I believe that what's yours is not yours. It's yours to pass along. So, and whatever you have to give, whether it's money or time, give it. Give what you can, when you can, whether you have it or not.
All right, I love that. And I want you to remember, anything you can give back. Imagine the child who's sitting there that has just been diagnosed being on the spectrum, starts getting treatment today, 3-4 years old. Imagine what happens 30 years from now when they're living an independent life that's worth living. And it was because you gave back just a little bit that helped Easterseals help that individual.
Awesome.
Scott, thank you very much for being here. Thanks for helping to tell the story. Jaisy, Sarah, thank you for being here.
Keep showing up.
Yeah, it's always a good thing when you do. Like, comment anywhere where you see popular platforms. We want to hear what you think about. We the PB and Jaisy Show, and we out.
Just had a chat, talk this and that with PB and J.